Welcome to Guitar Time. I'm Robert Noel, and let's talk about major scale form 2. So, with all my students, eventually you learn 5 major scales, 5 minor scales, 5 dominant scales, and 5 blues scales. And this can take up to a few months to maybe a year. Everyone learns at a different speed, and depending on your practicing techniques, you're eventually going to learn these scales and see the purpose of really knowing scales is not only for the technique of the hands and skills of your right and left hand, but it's for theory, understanding scales as they relate to chords and the arpeggios, which there's our trio in music theory: chord, scale, arpeggio, arpeggio, chord, scale. Scale, arpeggio, chord. Any way you want to look at it, those 3 always go together. So scales, of course, help us unlock the geography of the guitar, the map. But also for music theory, our ear training allows us to hear and understand what we're learning, to be able to analyze chord scales and songs, to be able to write songs better, to be able to understand styles of different artists, of different composers. Very, very important that we know scales. The other side of it is the technique, the technical skill of playing. And what I teach my students to begin with is the orthodox school, of course, doing very proper things with fingers as to finger placement, which I've talked about before. It involves keeping fingers in position and also tips of fingers being used, fingers hugging the frets, and using tip portions of fingers, okay? So I want to go over one of the scale patterns that is usually the first one I give to students, whether beginner, intermediate, or advanced, or professional. We usually start with Form 2. There's 5 forms, but Form 2 is generally the easiest one to get acquainted with, to learn first. Most students that come to me that have already played, sometimes they come and they already know this scale, but aren't playing it well and don't understand it. So let's talk about this major scale pattern. Form 2, A major. We're learning it in A, but this is a movable pattern. If I move the first note to G and play the pattern, it will be a G major scale. But we're going to learn it in A. Now, when I play the scale, it's a 2-octave scale. So listen to me count it. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When I get to the next note, that's 8. That's what we call an octave. An octave away from the first root note, which is A. Or a keynote is A. So I'm going A to A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 8 becomes 1 again. And I want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then 8 becomes 1 again. So here are 3 root notes in the key of A. Form 2. So when we get to the 8th note, we call an octave. This scale has 2 octaves, the lower octave and the higher octave, which was this part. So when you memorize scale patterns, when you first do it, you want to look at it as a pattern, but you want very, very good finger placement. So I put my second finger on the 5th fret A, and I'm playing my 4th finger, and I want to get the tip portion, and I want to be next to the fret on all these notes. Not on the fret, but up against the fret. So 1, 2, then I go to the next pattern is 1, 2, 4, and then I do another 1, 3, 4 this time. That gets me to the first octave. Then I do another 1, 3, 4, then another 2, 4, and then a 1, 2. So as I come back, 2, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2. This scale ends on the second finger and begins on the second finger. It's a Form 2 major scale. You've heard it before. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And we usually like to begin to say the numbers instead of doing the fingers as I just did, like 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. We like to count the scales. This way we start to learn about intervals. So when I count this scale, I would count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if I'm really good at that, I can do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, right? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Where are the 2s? Where are the 3s? Where are the 4s? Where are the 5s? Where are the 6s? Where are the 7s? And now I'm back to 1s or 8s. 1, 8, 8. So when you first learn this pattern, you learn it very slowly because you want to get the finger placement, tips of fingers, and you want to memorize by pattern. Once you've worked with that for a while, then you want to be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And maybe you work on this first low octave for a while. Then you would go backwards, right? From 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. Some people like to sing pitches too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So what is a major scale? You need to know the formula. In order to have a major scale, we have to have whole steps and half steps. So watch me as I play. I'm going to play a whole step from A to B, or 1 to 2, and then when I go 2 to 3, that's a whole step. Now I'm at 3 to 4. 3 to 4 is a half step. 4 to 5 is a whole step. 5 to 6 is a whole step. 6 to 7 is a whole step. 7 to 8 or 7 to 1 is our half step. And I'm going to continue. So I'm at 1. 1 to 2 is a whole step. 2 to 3 is a whole step. 3 to 4 is always a half step. Now I'm 4 to 5. That would be a whole step. Now I'm to 5 to 6. Whole step. Now I'm to 6 to major 7. That's a whole step. And now 7 to 8. Half step. So the formula for a major scale is half steps between 3, 4, and 7 and 8. 3, 4, 7, and 8. So if I was to ask you to show me in the form 2 major scale, you would go, well, here I have 3, 4, and in the upper octave, I have 3, 4. In the lower octave, I have 7, 8 or 7, 1, and in the top octave, I have 7, 1. So it's important to see 7, 1 or 7 octave and 3, 4, 3, 4. Very important to start to see these intervals. So the formula for a major scale, half step between 3, 4, 7, and 8. So of course I can do this horizontally or vertically. So if I was to just take one finger and go A to B, well, that has to be a whole step, right? My 5th fret to my 7th fret. So my next step from 1 to 2, then I would go 2 to 3. That would have to be another whole step away. 2 frets, right? 1, 2, 3. Those are all whole steps. Do, re, mi. Now I'm to 3 to 4. 3 to 4, always a half step. 3, 4. Now I'm at 4. 4 to 5 has to be a whole step. So I got to go 2 frets. 10th fret to 12th fret gives me D to E. Right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, half step, 4, 5, and then 5 to 6 would be a whole step. The 12th fret to the 14th fret, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, half step, 5, 6, 6 to 7's a whole step. Now 7 to 8 is a half step, 7, 1. And if I kept going, I could go 1 to 2 again, whole step, 2 to 3, whole step, and then I'm out of frets on this guitar. So I need to see this backwards and forwards. Going backwards, I'm going to see this as, let's start on the root, on the A, and I could start on the third. Major third, and I go down to the second, and then the root, and then I have a half step between the root and 7, and then a whole step from 7 to 6, 6 to 5 a whole step, 5 to 4 a whole step. Now here is the 4 to 3, half step, always a half step. 3 to 2 is a whole step, 2 to 1 is a whole step. Now if I kept going down, now I'm at that root to 7 again, right? 1 to 7. That has to be a half step in the major scale. Now I'm going from 7 to 6. That would have to be a whole step. And then if I was to go down another whole step from the 6, that would be open E. So open E is a fifth. It's a 5.